The best way I can describe being a business owner is rolling a massive boulder up a hill, except the hill keeps changing and the boulder keeps changing and evolving. I don't know if that's a good... My name is Aishwarya Iyer. I am the founder and CEO of Brightland. Brightland is a pantry essentials brand that was founded in 2018. I was born in South India in the state of Tamil Nadu. I grew up in Houston, Texas. Food was definitely the central topic of home. My parents were, their love language really was food. I grew up talking about food constantly. The first question that they would ask me on the phone was, what did you eat for lunch? What are you eating for dinner? That was kind of the, foundation for me. I went to NYU at the Gallatin School of Individualized Study, but rather than, being extra excited about school, I was more excited about internships. Every semester, I did at least 2 internships, if not 3, and I was so excited about that hands-on work experience that I could get. Eventually, around year 8, living in New York, I got into cooking more, and the first thing both my partner and I noticed was that we kept getting stomach aches when we were cooking. And at first, we thought it was bread, we thought it was cheese, so we were cutting things out left and right, and eventually the only constant that was left was the cooking oil we were using. It turns out that olive oil is the #1 most fraudulent food in the world, and honey comes in at number 3. Both are industries that we've been very galvanized to tackle. That really set me down the path of saying, you know what, I want to build a modern consumer brand that has fresh, authentic, incredible pantry essentials. I worked in beauty and in tech for over 10 years. So when I moved from New York to LA, I left to start my own consulting agency. That was, I think, kind of the warming up to what became Brightland. For the first 6 to 8 months, I was still consulting. So, I didn't have the luxury to not take a salary for that time. And so I decided to bootstrap Brightland to start. And what that means is that I had saved some money and I put that into the business to launch the company. I really wanted to prove out product market fit to myself first before going out and asking investors for money. When Brightland was closer to launching, I turned Brightland into my full-time focus, and we ended up raising our first round of capital a year after launch. We are making a panzanella salad, which is my all-time favorite. Am I allowed to eat this? So good. I feel uncomfortable with Brightland every single day. The learning curve is incredibly steep. I didn't come from a food background, and I had a lot of insecurities around that. The #1 piece of advice, I think, is knowing what you don't know and being okay with that. Really hone that muscle around being comfortable with discomfort. I think the first and foremost thing to do is to break through that and then start talking to entrepreneurs of all kinds. I had very specific questions, so I never said, I just want to pick your brain or give me, 20 minutes. More often than not, people took time out of their day to answer them for me. It's important for people to take a step back and think about, how are you thinking about financing this endeavor? It's important to ask questions around your sourcing. What is it you want to source? Are you working directly with a farm? How are you going to price it? These are all conversations that you have to have with yourself. It's not really something that you can learn in a class. Stepping outside of your computer, especially, and your screen, is probably the biggest piece of advice that I would give to an entrepreneur who's looking for inspiration. The name Brightland actually came from the trip to Tokyo. For months, when I was starting to work on Brightland, it had no name. And then was in a particular neighborhood called Daikanyama, and every store that I went into was playing Aussie or Americana folk music. And one of the songs was this Aussie folk band. It was called The Olive Tree. So I Googled the lyrics, and the lyrics said, I'm searching for the olive tree, and to the Brightland I go. On the journey to Brightland, one thing that I learned, I was speaking with my grandfather a few years ago, and he mentioned that our ancestors in South India were salt farmers. I had no idea that we had such a deep and close connection to the land in that way. And that was a turning point in terms of me deciding that I wanted to start Brightland. It was a turning point emotionally because at that point, I still wasn't sure if it was my story or journey to go on. There is plenty of room for entrepreneurs, there's plenty of room for people who want to shake up industries, and the more people that do that, the better and the more we can all move forward. And to kind of come to that realization that food was not only a part of our conversations with my family and love language and all of that, but it was such a deep-rooted kind of ancestral part of who I am. It was really special.